WR450 engine looks pretty nasty. Let's take care of that. Hey, what's up guys, Rado here, and this is WR450 engine that needs some cleaning. We can do hydroblasting, but we decided to do old school way. I did a couple of videos on my channel how to clean the engines, but today we're gonna have a guest on the channel from Dirt Bike TV, and he's gonna show us the best way to clean four-stroke engine. So Jay, come in and show us how it's done.
All right, so this engine's 8 or 9 years old, and it's been put away dirty, wet, muddy a lot, and it just gets caked on there on these cases. Now these older Japanese cases are usually pretty good. They're not too bad to clean up. This one's got extra stuff in the way with a starter and so forth, so it's a little hard to get in there. But we're gonna have a new recluse cover here. These two outer covers, we're gonna Cerakote those anyway, so we're not too worried about this stuff. But these main cases, we want to try to clean them up as best we can, and we're going to use a degreaser first, and then we have like an aluminum cleaner, like that's like an etching. So this aluminum cleaner can kind of etch into the aluminum, and you want to be careful because it can do a lot. So I like to get it all wet first before I throw this on. I'll degrease it first, then we'll throw this on, and we'll be scrubbing it as we go. And this case over here, you can see it's got some nice fake weld here, and so we're probably going to have to redo this case or get a new one. So we're not too concerned about cleaning this case either. We're mainly going to work on these center cases. And you see I got the sprocket out of the way. There was another thing here. I got that out of the way. We also have some plugs in the engine. And FMF has these cool exhaust plugs that we actually cut it off a little bit right there. And so we can plug off the engine. We have another plug in our vent hose here. And so we got both areas of the engine plugged off. So we're not going to pour a bunch of water in there. Even though we're rebuilding it, we don't want a bunch of water sitting in there in the engine. Okay, so we've done this a few times, and like I said, we're going to try to clean this as best we can and see if we can avoid having to take the cases apart and get it all vapor blasted. We'll see how it goes and see how it looks. And so this, for a lot of guys who just want to clean an engine and don't want to go through the hassle of splitting it all apart to get it vapor blasted, this is a really good option for you and not too expensive. So kind of I call it the poor man's fix to getting a really good looking engine without, doing the full-blown deal. So with hydroblasting, you can just get every nook and cranny. It's going to be tough to get into some of these areas. So that's the advantage of when we get in the hydroblasting, we get in there. Also, one of the disadvantages is it kind of takes off that initial kind of seal of those cases. So they will, if you do use it again, it will stain even quicker in some ways once it's broken off that initial stuff. Because this has been, like I said, it seems like when they're stock and new. Also, I've noticed that the cases nowadays aren't as good a material as they were, say, 20 years ago, they wouldn't stain as easily. So if you vapor blast an engine, say you try to do one like this, you will get material in there, inside the engine. We've taken engines apart. So to vapor blast an engine correctly, you want to have it all split apart, vapor blast everything, and put all new bearings in, or reuse some of the other bearings that you aren't high use. Main bearings, you'd put new ones anyway. This engine's going to get all split apart. We already know that. We just want to show you the best way to go ahead and try to clean it up without having to go that route.
First thing to do would be to spray the engine with some kind of degreaser. You can use pretty much anything that will melt oil. We are using this foam filter cleaner from Uni, but as I said, you can use anything. So be generous. You're gonna need at least 1 can of this degreaser and spray pretty much everything on the engine. So Jay is going through the engine and spraying everything one by one. As you can already see, that degreaser is doing its magic, and the stuff that is on the engine, the dirt and oil and some buildup, it's pretty much coming off on its own. You see all the dirt that is leaking down from the engine, that is kind of under the engine on that black rubber mat. So you can see that the degreaser is actually doing quite a lot of work. Next step, you're gonna grab your power washer. You can't clean the engine if you don't have a power washer. That's a very important thing. So if you ride a dirt bikes, I highly suggest you save up for the power washer because you're gonna need it very often. So once you have that done, you actually leave that degreaser sitting on the engine at least for 5 minutes and do the work, and then you grab the power washer and go through everything again, spray the stuff and rinse it off the engine. And after we did that, we did another round of this foam cleaner or any other degreaser. Spray it again, hit those most dirty parts again, let it sit for another couple of minutes, and then get your pressure washer and clean it again. Now the second step, we are using this aluminum wheel cleaner that we bought off AutoZone. It's like $5 for one. And you want to spray it on the engine, spray every single part, and again let it sit for some time. So Jay here is going around the engine, spraying everything, and then we will let it sit, and we will get ready for it. So with these rubber gloves, yeah, you want to use rubber gloves because those chemicals are pretty strong. You don't want to be getting that on your hands. Get the Scotch-Brite and start scrubbing. And you know, the level of cleanliness of the engine depends on the level of your scrubbing and how detail oriented you are. You just need to go through every single part. You can get different sizes, different shapes of these scrubbing pads, and just go and scrub. And if you want to have it really clean, you just stay scrubbing for like 2 hours. We in this video actually did maybe 1 hour, and it came off quite well. So again, it just the repetition of spray the thing on, let it sit on the engine, scrub it as much as you can, then rinse it off, see what else is still dirty, spray that thing again, get your scrubbing pad and just get in it again and start scrubbing. Sometimes I also use old toothbrush that I can just get into those little crevices and places that are hard to reach with my fingers, with my hand, with a scrubbing pad. So I just get a little brush and get into those little places. But as I said, again, all you do is spray that aluminum cleaner, let it sit a little bit, get your scrubbing pad and scrub it as much as possible. And the last part would be to use these scrubbing bubbles, because this thing has a little bit of bleach in it, so it will help to make this engine look cleaner. The aluminum will pop a little bit more, will get a little bit wider. So spray it on, let it sit, scrub it a little bit after that, and at the end rinse it off with a power washer, and pretty much the cleaning part is done. It only takes like 5 minutes on the video, but in actual life this haul took at least an hour to go through everything, let it sit, let it do its magic, so everything will come off the way we want it. And here you can see that the detail, what is this scrubbing bubbles doing, that it's kind of like a dark color. The water was still pretty dark, the black thing was coming off, so it gives it the final touch. The aluminum will kind of pop a little bit better. So now you can see how the engine is clean. Important thing next would be to get your compressed air and blow out all the crevices, all the little parts. You don't want to have any water trapped somewhere, so you want to clean it. Now, because we have that little thing, the funny monkey business going on with the JB weld on our cover, we're gonna grab this air tool and we're gonna try to grind off as much JB weld as possible, and we want to actually see what is the problem, what is the crack. So you see, we took all the JB weld off, and finally we're able to find that the crack actually was just like one small piece right on the bottom. And then we took some Scotch-Brite pad on this air tool and just finished everything off, took out all the scratches on this cover, because we decided to reuse it. So after this is done, we're gonna get this cover probably sandblasted, then we're gonna weld that little crack that you can see there, and after that it will be probably Cerakoted.
Okay, so that's a wrap. We got this thing all cleaned off. It didn't come out as good as I'd like, but I think it's really good for if you're just gonna want to clean up your engine and put it back in and you go straight to riding. You're not building a showpiece like for a magazine or something like that we do. I think it's plenty good. It came out decent. It's for sure clean. There's no dirt left, but the cases are stained, and it's just really hard to get those out. Now, one of the reasons, let me talk a little bit first about why we blew it off with air to get everything cleaned off, got everything blow off with air. This over here had that JB weld that we showed you earlier, so we cleaned this all off, and we found the little crack right there. So, and I got different little banjos and sanding wheels. Now, some guys are going to talk about wire wheeling or buffing off with, say, something like this, the cases, and you can do that, and it'll look okay. The problem is you can never get into all those little cracks, and it just starts to become, next step, and it's never going to blend in perfectly. So that can be really hard. So that's one of the reasons I don't like to do that. It can kind of look a little cheesy if you don't have it perfect. So the vapor blasting definitely is better for making it like near perfect. So that's a look at what we got. Of course, we're going to have those new covers over here like we talked about. Things that help this in the future, if you're going to ride in muddy conditions, you can spray WD-40 all over the engine cases. That'll help it so when you go to wash it, it'll be a little easier to wash. There's other things you can spray silicone, or people will use PAM. Anything that's slippery will help it, so when you go to wash it, it'll come off a lot cleaner.
Alright guys, so this is it. This is how Dirtbag TV J Clark cleans the engines. Looking pretty good, right? Okay, so the next step, we're gonna take it to Parapros. Brad's over there. We'll take everything apart and we will inspect, and that's the video I'm really looking forward. I want to see how this thing looks after 300 hours stock. I think everything inside this engine is stock, and this engine has around 300 hours on, so it will be a really good video to look inside at every single thing inside and see how everything looks. And once we have that done, we're gonna decide what will be Cerakoted, what will be just raw aluminum, what will be hydroblasted. Definitely gonna do something with the different colors. If you guys have idea what kind of color would look good on this build, so once I Cerakote engine, I will probably Cerakote the same color everything else on the bike that I will be Cerakoting. For sure the triple clamps and some other little pieces I will Cerakote, the engine mounts that go on the aluminum frame. So let me know what kind of color would be good for this build, and we'll take it from there. Alright my friends, well that's about it for today. The engine is clean. Next step, we'll take it apart. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and don't forget, whatever you do, stay motivated. See you guys later.